July 19, 2024 began like any other summer day in Marrakech. The sun already high and scorching by mid-morning, tourists drifting through Gemma el Fana and the spice markets, called to prayer echoing off the red clay walls. But by noon that day, one of North Africa's busiest international airports became the center of a story that would ripple across two continents. At Marrakech Menara Airport, Moroccan security services closed in on a man who had been the focus of a months-long international investigation. He was 32 years old, had been on the run from police in the United Kingdom, and was named Conor McGregor. This was not the world-famous mixed martial arts star most people think of, but a Scottish crime figure wanted on serious charges related to organized drug trafficking. His arrest was sudden, dramatic, and marked the beginning of the end of a sprawling criminal network. McGregor's detainment that afternoon was the result of coordinated effort between Moroccan authorities and international law enforcement agencies. The General Directorate of National Security, DGSN, issued a statement confirming that a British national had been taken into custody at the airport under an Interpol Red Notice. The man was suspected of involvement in international drug trafficking, including cocaine and cannabis, and was alleged to have links to crimes committed both in the UK and the United States. Moroccan investigators moved swiftly, placing him in custody as preparations began for an extradition process that would ultimately see him return to the UK. In the months leading up to that moment, investigators in Scotland had been building a case against McGregor and his associates. According to court records presented later, McGregor was labeled the head of an organized crime group that had spent years distributing substantial quantities of Class A and Class B drugs throughout the UK. Between May 2019 and July 2022, he had used encrypted communication platforms, properties scattered across the Marais area and beyond, and a network of couriers and distributors to move and conceal drugs and the proceeds from their sale. Back in Scotland, law enforcement officials had been tracking encrypted messages linked to McGregor's operation long before Moroccan police made the arrest. European agencies, working together under a broader effort to crack encrypted communication networks used by organized crime groups, eventually broke into one platform central to the investigation. That breakthrough provided the evidence needed to link McGregor directly to the logistics of the drug operation: receipt and dispatch of shipments, coordination of storage locations, and collection of payments. On that sweltering July day in Marrakech, airport police intercepted McGregor as he was preparing to board a flight. The arrest was carried out quietly, without the public spectacle of sirens or shouts, but it was anything but ordinary for everyone involved behind the scenes. DGSN sources later told press that the cooperation between Moroccan and international agencies was critical. This wasn't merely a domestic arrest, it was a complex cross-border strike against a criminal network that spanned nations. Once detained, McGregor was held in Moroccan custody while formal extradition paperwork was prepared. His lawyers in the UK immediately arranged to contest the move, filing appeals and insisting their clients' rights be protected under Moroccan and international law. But those legal challenges were ultimately unsuccessful. Over the next several months, attorney teams on both sides worked through the Moroccan court system, and in early January 2025, McGregor was flown back to the United Kingdom under heavy security to face charges at the High Court in Glasgow. The return to Scotland marked a dramatic turn in a case that had been simmering for years. On January 15th, McGregor appeared before the High Court in Glasgow and entered a guilty plea to charges of involvement in serious organized crime. News outlets reported that the evidence against him was overwhelming and that McGregor, once inside the courtroom, showed little outward emotion as he acknowledged his role as the head of the drug operation. By mid-summer 2025, the case had moved to sentencing. On July 15th, at the High Court in Edinburgh, Judge Lady Drummond delivered her verdict. She described McGregor as a senior figure in a prolonged drug trafficking network and highlighted the very significant quantities of illicit substances that had been coordinated under his direction. The judge's scrutiny of the operation left little doubt that the consequences of McGregor's actions had stretched far beyond the immediate circle of his associates. In her remarks, Lady Drummond noted that McGregor's leadership and organizational role placed his offending at the upper end of the scale, given both the volume of drugs involved and the length of time over which criminal activity had been sustained. On September 4, 2025, McGregor was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Crucially, the sentence was backdated to July 19, 2024, the day Moroccan authorities first took him into custody. This meant that more than a year of time already spent in detention counted toward his sentence. The fallout from McGregor's conviction was significant. Police in Scotland seized multiple properties and assets tied to his operations, including vehicles and financial accounts. Law enforcement officials issued statements reinforcing the message that international cooperation was essential to dismantling organized crime networks that operate across borders and exploit encrypted communication to evade detection. For Morocco, the case was both a success and a demonstration of its role in global security efforts. The arrest at Marrakech's airport sent a clear message: even if suspects think they can evade authorities by crossing into another jurisdiction, collaborative policing efforts make it increasingly difficult to stay hidden. For Scottish and European agencies, the successful extradition and conviction reinforced the value of intelligence sharing and joint operational planning. Inside the courtroom in Edinburgh, McGregor's legal team had asked for leniency, pointing to personal factors and arguing that their client had taken responsibility for his crimes. But prosecutors described a meticulously organized network that had inflicted real harm on communities through the supply of illegal drugs. The sentence, while backdated, sent McGregor to a prison cell where he would serve the majority of his term away from the public eye. In the months following the sentencing, coverage of the case continued in both British and Moroccan media. Analysts spoke about the broader implications for transnational crime, noting that encrypted communications, while designed for privacy, had become a double-edged sword for criminal networks. European agencies, increasingly sophisticated in their technical capabilities, had demonstrated they could still break through barriers that once seemed impenetrable. For the people of Marrakech, the arrest of Conor McGregor was a fleeting headline in a city better known for its markets, gardens, and ancient Medina walls. But for law enforcement officials and the communities affected by the flow of drugs across Europe, July 19, 2024 will be remembered as the day one of the most notorious figures in a long-running drug trafficking case was finally brought to justice. Thanks for watching. This case highlights how international policing now works across borders. What do you think about the arrest, extradition, and sentence? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this useful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you do not miss future updates.